Your seats and sitting down. A few public service announcements. The photos. Troy Hill and the photo professional headshots. He'll post links on Saturday or Sunday to the 20Books Vegas group. And the password is not to be live streamed, so you'll find that on the Facebook group as well. I do have it here, but I'm not going to say it because it said don't live stream it. Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
We're not going to give the password over the live stream.
I was going to cover them.
Tonight, 5:30 to 6 in the atrium. He'll be there taking some shots by the waterfall. It's got to stop by 6 because then they do the waterfall spray thing, and you should stay and watch that and see the mechanical bear do its thing. Thursday, Troy has to stop no later than 5 p.m. during author signing. He has a Friday morning date for a root canal and has to drive back Thursday evening. So he's got to finish by 5. Take advantage, get your headshots. It's a good bonus from the conference. The raffle drawing for the I'm Not Craig Martell Day will be at 5:15. It'll be at the end of Michael's speech. Lost and found. I have a briefcase up here. Never mind on the briefcase. We have a Tivana steel cup thing that was left at the check-in desk. And there was a phone left at the swap table. Have we picked that up yet? The phone has been picked up. Swag. All the leftover swag is at the check-in desk. Please take it. Please take it. I'm not taking it back to Alaska with me. So, lanyards, notebooks. I think the 4-color pens are gone. I think they lasted about 4 minutes. They're gone. Get your wooden nickel. I know people say don't take a wooden nickel. We'll take these goddamn wooden nickels.
I've got 20 cents for it.
And 2-minute drill. Inspirational stories. Jonathan Yanis has something to say.
Thanks, everyone. I have 2 minutes, so I'm just going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to tell you what got me to 6 digits and what I have a game plan to get me to 7 digits in 2 years. So care about yourself enough not to make excuses. Care about your career, right? Everything else that is important, make sure you get that done. Time with family. Everything that's not, like Netflix, like sleeping in, get rid of that. You don't need that in your life. Create a strong pack around you. At 20Books last year, I met some guys who are just as hungry as I am, and we're climbing together. There's other authors out here who want you to succeed as much as you want to succeed. I want this for you guys because it's worth it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, maybe not what you want to know. It's hard, and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And as long as you keep on going, you will get there. You will get to the top of the mountain. In these last 2 days, if you've been shy, I'm an introvert too. So if these last 2 days you've been shy, you haven't met a lot of people, you have a friend. My name's Jonathan Yanez. This is Michael Anderle over here. And this is Craig Martell. You know us. You can talk to us. Reach out to us. We're here to help you guys. Nobody climbs this mountain alone. If you think that you're doing this all by yourself, you're a liar and you're lying to yourself. Because everybody's getting help. Everybody's reading posts. They're finding information online. Nobody is doing this by themselves. So don't be afraid to reach out to other authors. All the time, people are reaching out to me. I'm like, oh, hey, I wanted to reach out and I was scared. I wasn't sure. I didn't know you have enough time. I'll make time for you guys. And you'll find out, too, where these people who are at the top level, if they see that you're hungry and yet you're doing the work and you're taking action items on the advice that we're giving you, we love that. We want you guys to succeed. All right, I love you guys. Get to work, and I'll see you later.
There was a kerfuffle and shenanigans and all those words that we love to hear and see on Facebook that usually lead to drama. And Michael jumped in and said, I don't care about any of that. I care about Pattersoning the shit out of my career. He looked at it, he watched James Patterson's videos, he read his book, and he decided, this is really what I want to do, this is where I want to go. Michael Anderle.
It seems that we have something for Craig.
Woo!
Craig is a Marine, which means he is a manly man. So we would like to offer him from the thanks from pretty much everyone here, everyone that's watching, and everyone who will see this in the future. We would like to present you, Mr. Manly Man, with your own kilt.
Good.
No, yes, he needs it on. You'll notice that it actually shows less skin than he's showing right now. It's just a little bit of a different design, but Craig, from all of us, we really want to say, man, we love you. We thank you for all that you've done to make this a reality.
Cover model right there.
Exactly. Thank you all for coming to this the second day. We're still getting a lot of comments about Craig wearing it. A lot of people want to see him in that. So tomorrow, Craig, I'm sure we're going to see you in that, right?
We've got a photographer. I was gonna say.
So Craig took a little bit of the thunder, but I'm going to go ahead and do it as if he didn't. And that is, so you are presently at my talk, and my talk is, don't accept conventional wisdom. That's not a Michael Anderle saying. You're here at the talk that says, Patterson the shit out of your career. And the reason that came about was because about 4 months ago, there was a lot of things going on in the 20 books to 50K, and frankly, I didn't know shit was going on. Why? Because for the last 24 hours, I've been reading every article I could about James Patterson and what had he done to make his career where it went. And so when I get on 20 books, I happen to see something in the admin group, and I go looking on there, I'm like, what the hell? I got a little perturbed. I started a rant, and I basically came down and said, would you guys freaking stop it, act like adults? I don't have time for this stuff. I'm gonna Patterson the shit out of my career. And then Craig took that and said, that's the title of your talk. Okay, I appreciate it. What is a mountain? I've said it multiple times. That's kind of the way that I described it on K-boards. And my point was that everybody has something, a goal for themselves. Each of our goals is different. Some people want literary awards, and God bless them. I think that's admirable. Some people want to see their book on a bookshelf in a bookstore. Once again, admirable. I only have two. I want fans that want to reread my books, and I want to make money. If I can do those two things, I think I've succeeded. And one of the things that ability to focus has allowed me is whenever shit happens inside of the indie community, I try to take a step back and go, how does this affect me and my goals? Now, I'm human, like anyone else. 2 years ago, we had a big thing. In the indie community back in 2016 in the summer, there was a big, real huge effort from everybody to get their letters. Now, getting their letters, once again, it's a mountain. It's admirable. It wasn't my mountain, but I was getting caught up in the hubbub of doing it. And I was losing track of what I needed to be doing, which was satisfying my fans. And so I finally looked at it and go, you know what? That's not my mountain. And when I was able to finally say that to myself, I was able to release the desire for something that was someone else's. And that helped me make it through that particular summer. The guru on a mountain. So if you're going up, it'd be nice if there was someone up there that you're going up there. And I finally decided that James Patterson was the guru. Now, from an ego perspective, I didn't want to have anyone tell me how to do what I did. I just wanted to hack success. Perhaps I should have listened, and perhaps I should have learned, because I could have gotten where I am right now a lot faster, because James Patterson patterned it for decades before I did it. And so while I accomplished it without his help, it was a lot more effort to accomplish it. And one of the things that we're doing here at 20 Books is just trying to say, hey, would you like to know what we did? That's it. You can take it, not take it, it's okay. I like the term #probably, because I really am annoyed if someone says the only way you can be successful is to do this or not to do that. Sidebar, I was on the K-Board's discussion area, or excuse me, I was on the Amazon discussion area one time. So this is back book 14, so first year. And someone asked the question, how many F-bombs are okay in the book? And so you got a lot of wisdom coming back. Most of them are like, no F-bombs are allowed. The first time that I see an F-bomb, I don't read it. You obviously don't read my books either. Being the patient fellow that I am, I wrote up a blistering response and then deleted it because I'm at least wise enough to know to delete that shit. But I went into the very next book that I was writing. Fuck this, Bethany Ann said. First word in the book. Later in that book, I had a couple of thieves that weren't really good. And so the things that are going on is, I did that whole who's on first, what's on second routine. Fuck, what fuck? Who turned up the fucking lights? The lights don't fucking work? I just did this whole lot. Like, you know, if they don't like one fuck, they're not gonna like the rest of them. So I had a lot of fun with that. What are the credentials of James Patterson? Why do I think he's my guru persona? Well, one, he presently sells more books, John Grisham, J.K. Rowling, and Dan Brown combined. Yes, that's right. 1 in 17 hardbacks is one of his books. That's a challenge. I'll accept it, Mr. Patterson. Might be ebooks. He's the first ebook author to sell 1 million ebooks, as a note. All right, no fewer than 114 New York Times bestsellers. For the person that we kicked out, by the way, of 20Books, who said that Mr. Patterson could lick the you're out. We don't treat people like that. You might not like his writing, but one thing we respect is his ability to sell and make his readers happy. That's the only 2 rules I want. And if he's making his readers happy to the tune of 114 New York bestsellers, you don't have to like it, but you can probably learn something from him. Other things that you might or might not know about James Patterson: he was a PhD candidate at Vanderbilt. I didn't know this. I'm learning all of this as all this kerfluffle stuff is going on. He retired from an advertising company. He was the CEO of J. Walter Thompson for the North America. He did this in 1996. His first TV special, something made from one of his stories, 1991. His first book, the Thomas Berryman Number, he got rejected 31 times before it got picked up. It won the Edgar Award for Best New Thriller of the Year. Not bad, just an ad exec. He's just a working man. He had 10 books out before he retired. He had a TV show before he retired. So all of you, I mean, you're CEO of a North American J. Well, I think you're busy. I think I'll let him slide a little bit. He almost does 20 books a year now. He does it with collaborators, co-authors. A lot of people don't like him for that. I don't have a problem with it. You know why? He's making his fans happy, and he makes $95 million a year. I'm kind of okay with that. Other things, his series, Alex Cross. I can't write my own writing. Michael Bennett, Women's Murder Club, Private, NYPD Blue, Red, Maximum Ride. He is in multiple genres. So, moving forward, let's talk a little bit about us. Things that I heard when I started. 20 Books to 50K, this Facebook group that we have 26,000 strong, started with 4 people. One of them is in the audience today. And those 4 people were fans of mine who kind of raised their hands and said, you know what, I'd kind of like to learn a little bit about this author thing you keep talking about in your author notes. I'm like, sure, great, I'll help you. So we talked, and we did, and we had 4 people write books. And I went to K-Boards like a month later, month and a half or something. I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about the success of my 4 collaborators here. We have all 4 of them within a month and a half or whatever, top 10,000 ranked books. Actually, what happened first was they were giving me a hard time, and I came back. The first email that I responded, I deleted, and I came back with the second one. The second one is the one that actually got hundreds of people to join 20 Books to 50K and freaked me out. I thought I'd go from helping 4 people to helping 8. Undershot that one just by a little bit. Some of the things that were told me: don't write a book a month, write a book every quarter. That might work for that person. I was trying to get to 20 books. I wasn't going to wait 5 years. Hell no. So I was trying to get to the 20 books by the end of that particular year, which was 2016. I missed it. Didn't hit them until I think the beginning of 2017 for my personal books. All right, other things. Things that you will hear in your career if you have not already, and how you might compensate for them. You must have. You must do. I really don't like that. And that's just a personality quirk, because no one needs to tell me what I can and can't accomplish. So, for those people thinking I shouldn't do 4 books, or at least only 4 books a year, the company LNBPN, and for those that wonder, London, Madrid, Barcelona, Paris, New York, the top 5 fashion capitals of the world. There's a whole other story behind that, and I'll get into it later. But 4 books a year, we're doing 400 in 2019. That's what the company is going to do. We've spent all of 2018 and what we have left trying to define how to accomplish 400 titles. Let me rephrase that. It'll be 400 titles. Some of those books will be novellas, novelettes, full books, 90,000, the whole range. We'll be in pretty much every genre except not much in mystery thriller and not much, well, none in erotica. So no, I'm not Chuck Tingle, for whoever mentioned that earlier. Something else. I consider my company entertainment. Pulp fiction for myself. I like to talk about characters, and I think that in general, from everyone that I've ever talked to and helped, characters were one of the missing pieces in humor in their stories. And we could go through that over and over again, but to Patterson the shit out of your career, you need to have something that's going to keep them engaged with your stories and talking about them. Action can do it, characters do it much more often, and humor greases the wheels to accomplish letting others talk about it, because they'll share jokes. 1-star reviewers. There was a thing in K-Boards when I had 50 reviews on my first book. I was probably on book 5 or 6 by that time. Everyone afraid to say something about 1-star, those drive-by reviews, 1 star, we'll do something bad to you. Well, fuck them. That's what I told them at 50 reviews. That's what they can do now. We don't accept that kind, and I know no one here is, but I'm specifically talking to the ones that are on right now. We've had that in the industry for the last couple of years, where people are afraid, not going to stand for it, because the only thing that I tell them, and I told them on K-Boards, you have to look at yourself in the mirror if you're going to do something like that. I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm certainly not going to be kowtowed by that attitude. And so I think if you're going to Patterson the shit out of your career, you've got to make a decision on what you will and won't be afraid of. And if someone comes and does that to you because you've stood up, come talk to me. We'll see what we can do. We're not going to accept that type of stuff. Limitations are what you make of them. When I started in 2015, there was something with editing, and this might or might not annoy a few people, and that's fine. It might or might not be true right now, that's fine too. But one of the things that it was is, if you're going to do editing, you need to get on someone's schedule. Might be 2 weeks away, might be 6 weeks away, might be 3 months, and then you'd get it back in 2 weeks. That didn't work for me. I tried editing it myself. That wasn't terribly successful. Wouldn't suggest doing that. But I would not accept what was the norm. I don't know if Lynn Stigler is in the audience at the moment, but she's the one that runs the LMBPN editing group. Did I hear a name? Oh. How many of you have the ability to edit 100,000 words in a month at a drop of a hat? Okay. 500,000 words. 1 million words. 2 million words. My hand's still standing. We don't accept limitations, and if you're going to go to 400 books in a year, you have to understand the infrastructure that's going to allow you to go to your goal. And your goal, for us, 2 million words. We need to be able to do it. Unfortunately, Lynn got to the ability to do it way before we got to the ability to crank them out. So hats off to her, but what I'm trying to express is don't accept limitations when you're trying to Patterson the shit out of your career based on what everybody else says isn't capable of being done. Our editors are around the world. Lynn happens to be a night owl, even though she lives in the same time zone I do. So Stephen Campbell, operations, he gets up at like 4 o'clock Florida, which is like 3 o'clock Las Vegas time, or 1 o'clock in the morning Las Vegas time. Lynn's usually going to sleep when he wakes up. I'm getting up 4 hours later. No, 6 hours later. So hell, 8 o'clock my time, so 7 hours after him. I'm up, Lynn's asleep usually, or she's just about to go to sleep. And then we tag off, Steve will go to sleep, Lynn of course is awake, I'll tag off. We have editors in South Africa. We have artists in Transylvania. We have artists in Mexico, UK. We have actually, I don't know where all the editors are because Lynn takes care of them. You know, I mentioned the other day, the first start, that whenever you look at LMBPN and see some of the things that we do, recognize we have a team. We've built a company of people who like to basically play together. We have fun, and it shows in our books when we give them to our clients, to our customers, to our readers. And I'm really happy with that because I'm too old. I'm 51. I don't want to work with people that are a pain in the ass. You know, we don't have to. But here's something as a side note. We employ, and by employ, we have service companies, service contracts, artists, whatever that we do projects with, in the dozens, if not the hundreds, within a year. Think about how much money you pay service providers, right? Craig has said that in general, we, as a group, if I'm not mistaken, said we represent $25 million in sales, at least, jointly. So even if you take half that number, and I can think of sometimes it might be more, of that cost, we employ $12.5 million worth of services at least each year. Seems like all of it goes to Facebook and Amazon ads, but you know, we're a big unit, and we need to think that way. You know, as we move forward. James Patterson, when his second book, or Along Came a Spider, came out, he encouraged his publisher to run commercials. Publisher didn't want anything to do with that. Remember where he came from? CEO, North American Marketing Company. He decided to go to 3 markets because he was going to use his own money to do it. I would argue he's one of the first independents. He just had to work within the system. And so once he showed the ad, the publisher got on board. Good thing, or it's going to kind of show that maybe they didn't have good foresight. That rocketed his book up the charts. It was amazing use. It hadn't been really done before, or certainly not successfully. And so these are things that you think about. We all know Michael Cooper did an amazing discussion. He showed you not only Facebook ads, Amazon ads, the Advantage ads, which I have to agree, use them, we do. They're very effective. BookBub, Pinterest, magazines, you know, he's telling you all of these things. And so there's always something new, because the one word I would suggest everyone needs to really learn is discoverability. It's something that happened at Dragon Con this year. We were flying in from Beijing. We landed at Thursday night, like 10 p.m., Judith and I did. 6 a.m. the next morning, we're on the plane going to Atlanta, Georgia, to go to Dragon Con. And we're in the first band. We were picked up. The reason is because Craig and I had been nominated for one of our books. And I'm asking the lady just questions, and they're all volunteers. So all of these volunteers are there, and I'm asking, you know, she's like, I was here. And it's interesting about Dragon Con is the people who are there, they tell you what building they started coming to Dragon Con. Dragon Con's like 5 hotels, 7 major buildings or something like. that, and they'll tell you, I was here since building 2, Martell 2. And I thought that was fantastic. But she says, the reason I come year after year is because I need to discover new authors. I thought, wow, you come all the way to DragonCon to find a new author. I had another one tell me, I was on a panel, and I was talking to some of the ladies afterwards, and they said, you know what? I rediscovered one of my authors on that panel. I had forgotten about her. And it's 3 times I had people, discovery. I needed to find new authors. People are out there hungry, willing to go to a different city to discover you. So where are you so that they can find out who you are? So when you're ready to Patterson the shit out of your career, you have to be able to be found. Whether that means that you're going to be connecting with people right here who are willing to email on your behalf, I can't tell you. We're all learning what that means. So in my early career, and for those that don't know, I released on November just a few days ago, 3 years ago. Made $338 that first month, made $10,200 by the third month, made $100,000 by my, basically November of the following year. Haven't looked back. We have 400 and some odd, let's see. One of these actually tells me my stats. Apparently I have CRS, can't remember shit syndrome. Love the one that says, and there we go. LMBPN, 431 titles, 400 more coming next year. We are 32 collaborators overall. We have 38 names, which means we have some pen names. We have probably 3 authors that are constant with our company, and many artists, many others. We've gone into 3D. If you looked at our Protected by the Dam series, you've noticed that we've gotten better and better. Why did I want to invest? And trust me, if you have a full-time person on 3D work, it's an investment. And the reason is because there's new technology out there that can allow a person in, let's say, a 15 by 15, if they'll just move like this, it will track their body and put it to a 3D model. So imagine the kind of videos you can do is if the same artist or the same actor basically pretends they have a gun, walks across the stage. All right, that's one pass, does it again, but now they're going to sit there and act like they're whatever. And within a few minutes, you've got 3 different bodies animated 3D style. That's what we're shooting for. Hope we make it. After the expenses, I really hope we make it. But it's something that you can think about when you're Pattersoning the shit out of your career. Some of you have read the new article talking about James Patterson using the Facebook Messenger. Who's seen that? Okay, quite a few of you. His goal is to get PR. He needs to be discovered. He needs to be remembered. He needs to be relevant. And even if he puts all of that money into that, he has already made success just because he got mentioned. We have several universes like Mr. Patterson. We've got the Arthurian Gambit universe. Some of you might be aware of that. We're somewhere north of 150, I think, books in that universe. Arthurian or Saren universe, we're probably 70, 80 books in that universe. We've got the International Pest Control that just released. We've got, oh man, I'm gonna forget all of these things. We've probably another 3 or 4 universes I'm not thinking about, another major one coming really soon. Things that we've done, I was at NINK, which is the Novelists in Ink. It was in Florida last year. There was a bunch of us talking. It's a great opportunity to hang out with fellow authors. And Domino Finn, I believe, who asked me, because, I mean, there's certain groups that hang around. Domino, Jasmine Walt, myself, a few others, we all kind of came up at the same time. I tend to think of us as the freshman class of 2016. You know, we started either late 2015, right in that area. And Domino said, hey, what does it feel like to change an industry? No idea what you're talking about. And he said, well, everyone's doing collaborations now. I go, The thing is I thought, well, that's kind of neat, and I'm sure it was only for a few. There's plenty of collaborations happening. I'm well aware of that. It was nice to hear that. The thing is, we were already traveling off of it. We already understood the issues that were happening with collaborations. And so, while we still do collaborations, it's not always the main focus of our company. IP is. Now, I can speak a little bit to that, but Who's aware of how much money Marvel Comics was sold for? Okay, back here, how much?
$4 billion.
$4 billion with a B. And it's for their IP. Of course, Avengers, Thor, Marvel, all of that stuff, certainly. But there was 1,000 characters. So as an opportunity to ever be thinking about what's your exit strategy, if you ever think that you might want to sell the company and just retire, what is your exit strategy? We're an IP company. We like to, we like to be disruptive. That's the kind of the core, disruptive imagination. That's who we are. But we recognize we have value. And why would we do 400 books isn't always about the fact that we can or can't do it, because we might fail. That's okay. We get 350. Well, shoot. But when we do 350, how much will we know? How much do we know because we've done 431 titles right now? How much will we know when we do 400 freaking books in 1 year? And when we hit 2020 and we pull it down from 400, what will we understand worked when we now have 800 titles? We have 131 audiobooks right now. I don't know if you've done audiobooks, but they're not always that easy and they're freaking expensive. But if you went to the audio, who went to the audio track? Awesome. Yeah, I heard it was really good. Emily Beresford, the lady up there with the Bethany Ann shirt on, is obviously the narrator for my series. And the way I found her was painful, because I went through ACX, and ACX doesn't always make it the easiest, and especially, I was okay during my time frame. I don't know what it is like right now, but I put out this offer. I'm trying to find the voice of Bethany Ann, and the voice of Bethany Ann needed to be authoritative, and yet a little motherly, and yet this one lady needed to be able to do men's voices. And the other part I wanted her to be able to read, let's say, the phone book and make it interesting. So that was my 3 issues. And Emily came back. And then I had one more. I had to ask that person, I think you could stick around for 21 books? And she was ecstatic about trying and being a part of it. So it made me feel good today to find out that all of y'all went to the audio that she was at, that Stephen was at, that Troy was at, and get some of this information, because they talk about, like Craig said before, 20% growth year over year. Penguin Random House said something in Frankfurt when we were there a month ago about they are doing 1,300 audiobooks this year. So if you assume that it's $2,000 a book, that's $2.6 million they're going to plug into this thing. Something that you might want to think about if you're going to Patterson the shit out of your career. We also have a podcast called Ear Crush. There, we're learning, we think we know, but we're learning that audio probably needs to be in excess of 12 hours, 9 to 12 minimum, preferably more than 12. We have a lot of books in the 60 to 70K range. That tends to our audiobooks at 6 to 7 hours. Not usually the best for sales. We can get it, but usually not the best. So we also have some short stories, and we're like, well, what are we going to do with these short stories? Because they're not going to hit the minimum. So we decided, you know what? Why don't we get them professionally done? We have all of the access, and why don't we put out a podcast? And so that's what we're doing. We're reusing some of this content that we're having and out there, and so we're giving away content to get people first willing to listen to books, so they're our target market, get them connected with our name, and then also, if they get an Audible subscription, which we might get money for, then they also get to go and just listen to more stories. So it's something else to think about, like Michael talked about just earlier if you were here, is where else can you use your IP? We looked into doing cards, deck of cards, $5, $6 a card deck. I thought, not quite willing to do that yet. We wanted 100 of them. So, don't need that. Oh, JIT, editing. Book is written. You might or might not review it, depending on whether or not you just went into the dark. If it goes to your editor at that point, we found that everybody might make mistakes. And so when I was in charge of it, I would usually finish the book on Tuesday. It was going to be out by Friday. That was my goal, minimum. So I would, well, sometimes I'd miss it and be like done by Wednesday morning, out by Friday. I had a bunch of fans who were willing to read it and tell me where my mistakes were. The JIT comes from my background, technology, just in time. Just in time to find the fuck-ups. And they would find them and I would edit them and we would get this stuff out and get it moving on. But the JIT has kind of morphed. Not only do they do that like they did before, but they always, and also kind of tell us if we got our book wrong. 3 times in the last 2 years, they have put the kibosh on releasing a book. And we had to look at their concerns and go, you know what, you're right, we're pulling it, we're gonna fix it. And it's the same thing from the betas, but if you talk to Stephen Campbell, you'll find out they usually have 24 to 36 hours to get this back. And they're amazing. You know, we're gonna support them and lift them up. And if you ever get a chance to do a JIT team, I heartily suggest it when you're trying to Patterson the shit out of your career, because you need to get product out if you're going to do fast. And then last is, on the collaboration side, we have what's called age runners. For people that are part of building a big universe, if that's your goal, and you want the ability to have a decent life, as Chris said earlier today, she has a life. Well, I like to allow people to make income. I don't need a big chunk of change. I just like a little piece of a whole lot. And so when we brought the first collaborators in, some of them had the desire and the ability to help nurture other authors through. And so what I created was what's called an age runner, Age of Magic. You know, CM Raymond, Ellie Brabant. Are you guys here? Over here. Oh, yes, over here. So if you want to talk to someone, talk to them, or Craig Martell, or you can talk to Martha Carr. All of these people help create and run other groups within. Now, Martha ran part of the universe. Craig, Chris, and Lee helped run part of Arthurian Gambit. And now, I had a silly idea called Fans Right for the Fans. Why? Because the best, absolute best advertising you can get is word of mouth. And then I knew I had a distinct opportunity with so many fans that loved Arthurian Gambit and that might want to write something. How cool would it be to give your fans, the chance to be published by your company? So I'm like, well, let's try this. Yeah, it didn't go very smoothly in the beginning, just to say. It took Lynn, I believe, Lynn and Steven to take it over, but predominantly Lynn, to pull it together and let the fans write. But here's the thing. I was going to allow it to be non-canon. What that means specifically is they can make stuff up, and that'd be okay, because I was going to list it non-canon. Well, the group of fans that were in that first book said, oh, hell no. When they read the stories, and they do, the fans read and grade the stories, they kicked them back out if they weren't according to canon. And so I didn't know that this was happening, but they cared enough about this universe to accomplish it. The feeling to me, when you see them hold that first book, and it says, Fans Right for the Fans, the Arthurian Gambit, insert your universe name right there, and their names are on the cover, along with your name, because you're part of this. We pay them $250 for all rights. We use some of them for our Ear Crush podcast. They're holding something that, to some people, it changes their lives. It's not necessarily going to be a lot, but may I ask those people here who are writing because you read something in one of my books or JIT, would you stand up? There's 5, 6, 7, 8, I guess. Thank y'all very much. Change somebody's lives with your books. You know how to do this. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know what's a little bit more than the last person. I had a blessing, Craig Allinson, but Craig is the sci-fi wizard, and he's got these audio things that are outrageous. We tried to backtrack what his audio sales would be and dropped our jaws to the floor. He's outselling in his 6 or 7 books our 15 or 20 Arthurian Gambit by a large margin. But you know what? I was able to give him some advice on author notes that he says increased his income 50% this year.
Yes, you did.
You can always learn from each other when you're trying to go to the next level that needs to be your next level, not mine, not that next guy, not the person that says, I'm trying to do 400 books next year, so try to beat that. I want the big guys to look at me and go, son of a bitch. That's who I want to have it look at me. No one here. Otherwise, I'll help you get there. You want 500? Hell, I'll help you. We'll talk. And by help, I'll explain shit and go away. That's my version of help, as I can see Judith nodding her head over there. Numbers. Numbers kind of suck because some people, like Martha Carr, no names, kind of same thing, can't do them very well. But here's a number I really want you to understand. That's 2750. Does anyone know what the meaning of 2750 is? Holy crap. One, sort of? Or is it you just stretching? Martha knows. Excellent. 2750. $27.50 is $10,000 a year if you get it every single day. 10 times that, $275 is $100,000 a year. $2,750 is $1 million a year. And the only time I'll tell you, we make that by 8 o'clock in the morning. I tried to explain to some people, or I didn't, but 2 years ago, people couldn't believe they could make $10,000. We had 8 people raise their hands. They're already making $100,000 a month. You can do it. You're not taking money from me. I'll find new readers. I'm fine taking it from Bain or Tor. In fact, Mark Stigler, where are you? Oh, there he is. Mark Stigler is a Bain, mind you, Bain author. I worked like hell to get him to come over to me when he retired and was thinking of going back to Bain, just because I wanted to steal one of their authors. I mean, I was pretty upfront about that, if I'm not mistaken. I was very upfront about it. Because that's just kind of the whole indie publisher attitude I have. I like to be able to do stuff like that, and fortunately, I asked his wife whether or not that was, Mark is happy with that, because I am concerned about that, and she said yes. So I hope I'm not lying, Mark, that you're happy. Excellent, thumbs up in doing that. So what can you do? What fits your personality? What is your goal? Because frankly, $200 a month might be your goal, and by God, you can do it. Because $200 for someone who has new babies is Infamil. And if you've ever had babies and had to pay for Infamil, you are really happy when you go to regular milk. I guarantee it. It's like you just got a pay raise. And so, setting against yourself, going up, knowing that the mountaintop can be there, you don't have to go for it. There's no requirement because you have a life-work balance. I'm being told continuously I don't have a life-work balance. But I like 70% of what I do, so I tend to think that part's a lot of fun. 30 parts work. Certainly, can't get away from all of it. So, collaborators, they can be challenges. Okay, I just heard it again earlier. Editors who criticize. I'm sorry, if you're an editor who criticizes, not ever gonna work with you. In fact, I'll tell everyone to get the hell off of working with you. We are creators. They can suggest, they can advise. Do not criticize a creator. For a lot of us, that can hurt it. All right, I'm gonna have to ask, I'm just gonna do it. She'll hit me later. Haley Lawson. You might recognize her. She came up here with her daughter, Callie. I talked to Haley a couple of years ago, and she was working through. She is incredibly productive in working and trying to do publishing and things. I was talking to her the other day, and she's reworking some books, and they're doing a lot better. It took her a long time. The thing that she learned, she was screwed over by perhaps a well-meaning editor who said, you need to get the humor out of your stories and you need to stop the characterization that you were doing. It took 2.5 years to get back on track. So Dean, what did he tell you? This man's got 40 years of experience, but what did he tell you about that? Listen, but you are the final. We go to doctors for second opinion. This is 2.5 years of Haley's life, maybe perhaps a second opinion. So I'm here, and this is, editors is a touchy point with me. I admire what they can accomplish, don't get me wrong. We use them, a lot of them. 200 million words a month. Any editor who wants to tell me that I don't do my books right, my answer is, I've got 1 million reasons in the bank I do. Show me yours. Listen to your inner reader. That's how I became what I was. Why can I hit the right people? Because I actually target myself. If I'm happy with my books, then I'll find the people who like my books, and I hope it's more than 2. If it's more than 2, I'm good. I actually have a very small niche from this. We have pen names for people who aren't Michael Anderle. Other books I recognize, but they don't always fit Michael Anderle stuff, so we do pen names for that. Do it for the fans. Ask the fans what's missing. If you're stuck on the next concept, it's been mentioned before up here. Ask them. They'll tell you. Oh my God. Oh, don't kill off a love interest. Just saying. No, I actually killed a dog in a recent book. Why? Because I was told not to. Don't do F-bombs and don't kill dogs. First book of Brownstone, I killed that dog dead. And then that reviewer said, you'd better not kill another one. And I have not. I know when to stop. So we have 2 minutes and 45 seconds, which is not going to be enough time to get a bunch of questions in. So Craig, would you come here for a second? I have a question for you. There's a lot of things. You'll never see a Michael Anderle course where you can contact Michael Anderle at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, well, this isn't working for me. I'm too lazy for that. So don't worry about it. In our discussions, since you and I've talked, and by the way, as a collaborator, I reached out to Craig and said, I'm not writing post-apocalyptic and the fans want it. Would you help me? But in our efforts, what is the thing that you believe helped you?
Three-dimensionality of characters. I was writing fairly two-dimensional characters, good post-apocalyptic stories from a technical and post-apocalyptic standpoint. However, those are okay, but characters and how readers embrace those characters and become emotionally invested in the characters, and I think that was Michael's exact term. I need you to write characters where the readers become emotionally invested in them. And after a few back and forth on the first Nomad series, and I think we're currently at $325,000 in sales of that one series that we co-wrote, and that's 19 months, 20 months of sales, 325 grand. Because we have characters that the readers became emotionally invested in.
In post-apocalyptic, and the other thing is, he wrote most of that. We worked on beats, we worked on characters, we outlined some stuff. Craig is the one that wrote millions of words. And so, round of applause to him. Thank you very much for letting me do that.